The question says, write down the size of each of the following matrices. How do we know the size of a matrix? So we can refer to module 5 to get a little bit of insight. Module 5 begins by saying, what is a matrix? A matrix is a collection of numbers arranged into fixed number of rows and columns. So a matrix has rows and columns. The rows are lined down horizontally, the columns are standing up vertically. Here's an example of a matrix with 3 rows, 1, 2, 3 rows. All right, so you have to go across to get the rows. Okay, bear that in mind. You have to go across to get the rows. So this is an example of a matrix with 3 rows. 1, 2, and 3 rows. Okay, and 2 columns. 2 columns. So you have 1, 2 columns, 3 rows and 2 columns. Okay. This matrix is a 3 by 3 matrix because it has 3 rows and 2 columns. Now, there's a problem with this statement. Can you identify it? Read carefully. It says this matrix is a 3 by 3 because it has 3 rows and 2 columns. What do you think that should be written there? This matrix is a 3 by 2, correct. So this is a typo. So it's supposed to read this matrix is a 3 by 2. So whenever you identify the size of a matrix, you call the row first, and then times, you say times, and then you call the column, the number of columns after. There's row times column. You can use to identify the size of a matrix. So knowing this now, in this example here, the size of matrix E so you can put a column. Matrix E is R. So what we need to do is to identify the number of rows in matrix E and then the number of columns. So here is matrix E. So when we look at matrix E, what do we see? We see 1, 2, 3 rows. Matrix E has 3 rows, and matrix E only has 1 column. So 3 rows and 1 column. So matrix E is a 3 by 1. Okay, matrix E is a 3 by 1 because it has 3 rows and 1 column. So always identify the number of rows first and then the number of columns after, and you lay it out, rows times column. Always bear that in mind for the size of a matrix. Just to reiterate, general, you can use a capital E for any matrix. So the size of a matrix, always mention the number of rows first times the number of columns. So that's why matrix E is a 3 by 1.